So,
Oops, the wrong thing.
here we go. Here we go. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Random Musings from the Clinical Trials Guru Site Owner Academy version. This is where we get tactical. Just stay tuned every week. We do one of these. So, this topic is three things clinical research sites should do right now. And right now, we're in the middle of a pandemic. We're going to be in phase two or wave two of lockdowns. I'm joined by Chris Sauber. And
Hello,
how's it going,
everybody.
Chris?
Hey, it's going well. I can't wait for the lockdowns. These are going to be exciting times.
Right, right. But it is exciting for research. We just got off the Site Owner Academy, and one of our students is extremely successful now. In 3 years, he went from nothing to seven figures in
hmm
his business, and I can't wait to interview him. Also, he's kind of hard to get. He's kind of shy to do interviews, but I'm planning to have him on board. But basically, these are the things. This is a booming year, 2020, and 2021 is going to be the same for research. We're very lucky to be in this industry. If you are a research site, you're very lucky to be in the middle of like such a high demand for your services. And it may not seem like it, but that's the case for a majority of research sites. And if that's not the case for you, you need to do these three things right now. So let's go into the first thing. What research sites should be doing? You should always look for ways to be more efficient. We just told our site owner, our very successful site owner academy student, that he now, because he was talking about regulatory, he should invest in an e-regulatory system like Viva Vault. So that's one way he could be more efficient, because then he could spend less time on regulatory and more time on doing income generating activities like screening patients, pre-screening patients, getting more studies, things like that. What do you think about this, Chris?
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. I mean, I don't
Uh,
have anything to add to that.
that's okay. That's okay. The second bullet point: the current COVID-19 pandemic means it is crucial for sites to find ways to adapt while protecting patients, staff, and other personnel. Most of the changes that sites can make are simple and can be implemented by new and established sites. And I should also add, a lot of this can be reimbursed. The cost associated with this can be reimbursed by sponsors. Chris, you're negotiating a lot of budgets. Are you
Certainly am.
seeing a lot of this stuff being reimbursed?
Yeah, and they're handling it for the most part in two different ways. One is either giving you additional overhead, or it's a flat fee. I just proposed to another sponsor yesterday. Instead of a flat fee, how about per patient, per completed patient? So it kind of incentivizes the site, which the sponsors like to do, to get completed patients, but they can get more money too that way, per, on the per completed basis, opposed to just a flat fee.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll
Okay.
see what they say.
Right. Yeah, I got you. Um, and next slide. Next slide. So this is what we were talking about, the increased overhead cost, all right? Sites should renegotiate their budgets with sponsors due to additional cost of running the clinical trials, expenses such as sterilization, before and after patient or monitoring visits require additional supplies and attention from cleaning staff. You should also update your SOPs. When you're negotiating these budgets, has anyone asked for the site's SOP to justify the increased cost?
Occasionally, it's less common than you would think, and had budgets pay as high as 70% overhead for these COVID studies. And
Wow.
then that's a COVID study. Now, a non-COVID study, they're willing to go as high as 50%,
Wow. So our like pre-pandemic, the going rate was 30,
25
35
or
maybe.
25 or 30.
and now it's you can go 50.
You can. Again, I wouldn't say that's the norm. I would say right now the norm's more around 35.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, I've certainly seen many budgets as high as 50 for non-COVID studies.
The point is, overheads have increased, and sponsors are paying it.
That's correct.
Mhm. And sites may also be forced to reduce the amount of patients that can be seen during each visit. This can affect the amount of staff hours. We saw a lot of this during the beginning of the pandemic, a little bit less of this now in the fall of 2020 for those watching in the future. But there's an opportunity here as well. Physicians, physicians that are research naive, are less busy in their own private practice, and they are more likely to want to discuss research opportunities with you if you're the site owner. So it's never been a better time to look for physicians. Chris, I'm meeting with one tomorrow. I'm gonna vlog about it after, before and after.
Yeah,
But
sounds very interesting.
yeah, and he's not seeing patients, only telehealth right now. And
Hmm.
so, that's he's not at full capacity, right? And this is an opportunity, and this is happening everywhere in the country, guys. So if you're a site, just go do some business development around your community and
Hmm.
send out emails. My wife, who helps us out with the biz dev, she emailed 50 of these doctors in this zip code, and he was one that replied back. And the other ones I have to follow up with, but um, it's not a bad start. And he's actually very well regarded in the community, good reviews. Normally a very busy practice, and maybe in normal times I wouldn't have had a chance to talk to him because he's so busy.
Certainly. Yeah, I would say that's true of a lot of physicians right now. And out of curiosity, how did your wife find these 50 doctors? She just Googled the area, or was there some sort of website she could go to find these doctors?
Chris is asking, how did you find all these doctors?
I just thought your audience might care to know.
Yeah, yeah. She Googled and made a list of their public facing websites.
Okay, right. So you have to put in a little effort to do this. There's no
Oh
simple,
yeah, it took her like probably 6 hours in a day. Like
right.
she did it all in one day, but it took like 6 hours
Okay,
of her time. But yeah, it produced, and it's just the beginning. I mean, I have yet to follow up with more than just this one person.
certainly. And that's often true, right? Productive things often take some effort.
That's right. That's right. What's the next slide here? Because there's more opportunities for you guys. Anticipate the remote Oh, this is true. Don't forget about the remote monitoring costs. Okay, if you have an ongoing study that started pre-COVID and you haven't done this already, renegotiate your budget to include remote monitoring costs. About half of the studies are doing remote monitoring, and the other half, from my experience, this is all anecdotal. Maybe Chris, you see different. About half are doing remote monitoring, the other half are doing in-person monitoring.
Yeah, my experience, it seems to be a little bit more doing remote monitoring.
Oh, more than
Still,
half, like 60-40, you would say?
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so sponsors have slowly implemented remote monitoring practices. During this pandemic, we're relying on these tools. You got to remember, if you're a site, not only do you need a platform like a Dropbox or a Box or a Intralinks like we use, these cost money. That's not free, right? Um, so
Now,
that should be put into the overhead, right?
I would add though, many of these instances, the sponsors are providing these platforms.
Okay, so if they're providing the platform, that's fine. If they're not, there's cost there. But
Hmm.
the biggest cost is the human resources that you need to dedicate to scan.
Yep.
All right, because most studies are not using eSource, it's paper. So somebody's got to sit there and scan documents, which does take a long time. Then they've got to organize the documents, which takes an even longer time. Then they've got to upload them somewhere, which takes an
Mm-hmm.
even longer time. Then they've got to give access to the monitor, which takes a long time. Then they got to make sure the monitor knows how to use it, and somebody's always needing their password. This takes a lot of time away from your staff. Under normal times, they would be seeing patients or pre-screening or recruiting patients. Instead, you have to do this. You have to do remote monitoring activities, which doesn't generate revenue.
Absolutely correct, and you certainly want to get reimbursed for it.
That's right. Next slide. There's more opportunities, guys. So this is another slide of remote monitoring. I'll go quickly through these. Like I said, typically means more scanning for sites that don't use eSource. Next bullet point, sites can justify additional costs by creating SOPs for remote monitoring. So make sure you have a SOP for this as well. Could be a simple few paragraphs. Sites can also tell sponsors that their plan works well with virtual monitoring visits. Another option is to indicate that the site is sharing best practices with other sites. So figure out, if you can't figure out how to do this, find out other sites in other parts of the country that aren't competing. Be on LinkedIn, network. And you should be networking anyways, because networking can bring you more studies.
Mm-hmm.
So this is probably, the next slide is probably going to be more about networking and how to increase your business. Oh no, this is recruit clinicians. This is what we discussed. Okay, look at. I haven't looked at these slides yet, but I'm anticipating what is going to be on there. And sure
Mm-hmm.
enough, sites should always look for new clinicians, nurse practitioners, PAs, other specialists. If you want a specialist, everybody should be looking to expand. Specialist is the way to do it. Now, this can grow your top line and your bottom line as a site. And like we said, you know, physicians are, a lot of them, less busy now than they used to be if they're not doing research. And so research is a great way to supplement their income. And maybe they learn a new thing from you and they're very grateful that you reached out to them.
Yep.
Anything to add here? I know we talked about this already, Chris, but feel
The
free
only,
to add anything.
the only thing I would have to add is the observation on this cartoon. All of them look very happy, and only one of them is even partially practicing COVID safe standards. He's got a
Yeah,
mask
I
on.
noticed
Only
this. This
one.
must be, this must be pre-COVID. We need to tell Carlos what, your imagery is not in line with the safe practices right now.
Yeah, it's not modern day. This is not how it's going to be.
That's not how it's gonna be. They'll all look like that guy with the mask. If you're on the podcast, you're not missing out on much. Um, Next slide, Chris.
There we go.
Oh, is that
That's
it? So go
that's
back to that previous slide. Let's have everyone look at this picture and let me talk about the opportunities, okay? The study opportunities are there. Chris, did you know, or you do know, but I'm just asking for
sure.
the fun of it. Did you know that COVID, the amount of COVID studies that are out there, probably increased the supply of studies by at least 20%, if not over 30, right? I don't have
Oh
the
yeah.
exact numbers, but it's increased the supply of studies by a lot.
Oh yeah.
That put a
Without a doubt.
huge strain, that's putting a huge strain on the industry from all aspects. Need more CRAs, need more coordinators, but also need more sites.
Yep.
Okay? There's not enough sites to do these studies. So if you are a site, now is the best time to either get started if you want to open a site, or if you already have a site but you want to expand, it's never been a better time than right now to do that. Never been a better time. And I think 2021 is going to be much of the same. And we help sites do this all the time, right? What do we do to get site studies from our network?
So there's two ways we bring studies. We have some software that notifies us when new studies are posted to clinicaltrials.gov. And we put all of our clients up for those studies. And then there's many CROs and sponsors that are aware of what we do and have a fairly large site network. And they reach out to us directly when they have studies that they need help recruiting sites for. And then
Hmm.
back to your previous point. So in my experience, because I see probably somewhere between 5 and 10 new studies a week, right? In terms of having to negotiate the budgets for our clients, I would say it's probably right around 20%. 20% of those budgets are COVID studies.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, probably around 20%, if not, I put it as somewhere between 20 to 30% of the increased supply. But yeah, good to see that my anecdotal gut
You're in the
feeling is kind of in line.
you're in the ballpark for sure.
Yeah. So if you're doing nothing else, like our really successful client that we talked to today in the Site Owner Academy, he's a client of ours also. We get studies for him. But he also goes on clinicaltrials.gov and just randomly looks for studies and starts emailing the study contacts. And he gets studies because sponsors need sites. I mean, that's
Hmm.
just the bottom line. You should have somebody, even if you're hiring someone like us, we only charge $1,300 a month, and we help not only getting studies, but we help you with your budgets. As you've heard Chris say, we help you with your SOPs, we help you with your source documents, we answer your calls from your staff, we even help train your staff. Okay, that's what we do. If you're interested, text me 949-415-6256. But you should also be going on clinicaltrials.gov regularly. Have somebody at your site doing this. Have just
Hmm.
at least an hour a day. It's going to pay dividends.
Or as you said
And
before,
that's
networking as well is a good way.
now networking on LinkedIn with other sites, across the country. The sharing study leads. This is how you got to do to grow, guys. It's never been a better time to be a research site owner than right now, in my opinion. And I've been doing this since 2005. So thank you everybody for watching. Thank you, Chris. Thank you everybody for listening, and we'll catch you all later.
Bye bye.